with several battles in the Senate of Kenya. Some that have that started like 2 years ago. They started when I reported an issue of sexual harassment. And to be clear, what I reported is that I realized that my legislative agenda, I realized that my work in parliament, my activities in parliament, somehow they're being sabotaged and I'm having a difficult time. When I reflected on several things, I actually came to the conclusion that because I refused to participate in the sexual advances of the clerk of the Senate, Jeremiah Nyegenye, so many things which are in control, either through his office or by proxies, were happening to me. This is on record. I did a personal statement at the floor of the House. What you saw after that is a woman who was being persecuted for speaking up. You saw a suspension motion that was brought 2 times. The first time they brought it to the floor of the House. They realized that I was present, and so I would be accorded 20 minutes to defend myself. The whole House, that is the leadership of the House, the Speaker, everyone was aware that because I'm a person who speaks and I am very fearless, at that first motion they decided it's probably a bad idea to try and suspend her when she's present, because her 20 minutes in the protected area in Parliament, she will spend it wisely and she will inform Kenyans of what is happening in this country. So what they did at that first motion, you will see the majority leader going on record saying that some of this dirty linen needs to be washed outside of the public spheres. And the majority leader, Aaron Cheriot, is on record saying that they are going to have conversations outside of the plenary, and that the matter, they assured me and they promised me that at the bare minimum, there will be investigations, and whatever it is that I was reporting will be looked into, and that there will be a conclusion where all parties will be able to take responsibility and move forward. That did not happen. As a matter of fact, the majority leader never picked my phone from that day until the next motion, which they basically made sure that I was absent, that I was not in Parliament. So I was in New York attending the Clinton Global Initiative. At that time, also the president and the whole State House delegation was in New York. So even anyone who could have intervened and brought it to the powers that be that something is going wrong, everyone was busy in the US. That is when they brought the motion to suspend me based on the report that I put that, hey, listen, there's an administrator, a senior person in Parliament, who is actually making my work so difficult because I have refused to participate in his sexual advances. Because I was absent on that day, automatically my 20 minutes of right of reply was lost because I was not at the floor of the House. So what happened is they passed it very quickly and I was suspended. I was suspended in absentia. You will hear many people saying that she was accorded time to come before the Powers and Privilege Committee to defend herself and substantiate the claims. That is not what happened. I reported an incident where I'm being harassed and where I am being treated unfairly. And what happened is that they charged me. They actually took my report and charged me. They made it a charge. They said, we are charging Senator Orwoba for disrespecting Parliament by alleging that there is sexual favors for legislative agenda. So that is not being accorded. That is being charged. And immediately after that, they prosecuted it by the motion. And immediately after that, I was suspended. We have been in this country, so you have lived through these events. I was suspended. Much later, because I put out a point to speak about this to the media, the majority leader called me and said he's going to broker a truce because they were afraid of the things that I was going to say. And they said, you know what, if you at least apologize to your colleagues who you have spoken ill of, we will reduce the suspension. You have seen me on record apologizing and saying, while I was seeking my justice, there are some of my colleagues who I might have rubbed the wrong way. I apologized to them. I said, I'm sorry, I was busy trying to seek justice, but in that way, I might have either come off aggressive or what, but I apologize. What you see after that is them reducing a sentence and bringing it down to, I don't know how many days. Within that reduction of the sentence, of the suspension, I didn't know that I was not supposed to be paid a salary. I thought that when you're suspended, you're not paid a salary, right? So the next time you see me at the floor of the House, what is happening? They have prescribed an apology. The clerk was part of the team that sat down and prescribed the apology. That is why he inserted his name into the apology. And you see me at the floor of the House saying, no, I'm not going to read this apology, because my legal team had already told me that the clerk wants that apology so that he can take the apology back to court and say, in fact, her allegations are false. She even apologized for it. And if you go to the court proceedings, which are public, you will see that the clerk indeed, even after I gave the disclaimer, he indeed took the apology and used it in court for proceedings that are ongoing, saying that the fact that she apologized to me it shows you that she was lying. That is not true. I have reported an incident of sexual harassment. To date, there is a letter to Parliamentary Service Commission. The chair of Parliamentary Service Commission is the Speaker of the National Assembly. The letter is out there. He chose not to act on it. At the bare minimum, in any workplace, at least an investigation must be conducted. I have been saying that if you think I'm lying, let the travel report of the Senate be released. Because then you will see that at the point when United Nations invited me to Brussels to the 53rd Assembly, the clerk gave an advisory that there is no money, yet there are people who are sent to the same forum. You will see this kind of shenanigans in terms of sex in exchange for trips, sexual favors in exchange for legislative agenda, sexual favors in exchange for all sorts of things, including office premises and locations. That is what I've been saying. Not one single entity has investigated this. I asked to be given the travel report, which is in the custody of the clerk of the Senate. He is the custodian of the evidence that will show you that there's a lot of favoritism towards certain senators. We are 16 nominated women senators in the Senate. We have 3 elected women senators. As the fourth estate, I challenge you to go and try and get data of how many of these people travel, how frequent they travel, why are they traveling, who is approving those trips. I challenge you to also go and find out all other kinds of favors, including why certain people, their bills are forever on the order paper, their bills and the legislative agenda is advanced, why certain people seem to have it easy in Parliament. I didn't want to take it there, but I respect the courts, I respect the judicial system. You are aware that the judgment of the defamation is out and that I have been fined 10 million for defaming the clerk of the Senate. I respect the judicial system. I know, because I am not new to the legal system, that there are many legal loopholes which criminals have been using to get these favorable judgments. Because they always say the law is on us, right? There are many legal loopholes. And I understand and I know the legal loophole that the clerk of the Senate used. He made sure that he will influence that my motion to suspend me would come when I'm absent. Because if I'm absent, he knew that I must speak the truth. And if I speak the truth when I'm not in Parliament, he knew that he could take that video and take it for defamation. That is exactly the legal loophole that he did. So his whole evidence is based on a video that I did in response to an already public engagement. It was already in Parliament being discussed that the clerk of the Senate is fighting with Senator Orwoba because Senator Orwoba has said that the clerk of the Senate, you know, is making her life hell because he's not I'm not playing ball. It was already in public through the parliamentary proceeding. He did not sue Parliament because he cannot sue Parliament. But he waited for me to respond because he knew that I had to respond, which I did. And that is the video that he took to take for the defamation. So I respect the process, the court proceedings. However, I don't agree with it. And that is why our country, we have an opportunity to appeal. So I have appealed and I am appealing. And my legal team has taken it. Even the 10 million is absurd. It is meant to scare any member of parliament who thinks that they will wake up and say, this is true, this is happening. It is meant to scare any woman. Where we are today, and this is my message today, to women out there, all the women in Kenya, nobody is going to fight for you. You see some of us legislators going to Kericho to fight for the women who are working in the tea plantations. You have had the issue of sex for work. How can I go and fight for a woman in Kericho when I cannot fight for myself in parliament? We all know very well the culture that has been bred in these spaces. It's not only in Kericho. It is in EPZ. It is in all these workplaces. It is in our homes where even our domestic staff members are subjected and put to a corner. We have seen politicians of high standing, veteran politicians, being told to turn around so that their behinds can be seen. We saw it the other day. The objectifying of women, it's become such a norm. Because if you raise your head and say, this is wrong, they suspend you, they illegally try to remove you from Senate, they hit you with a 10 million bill. But I want to say this. Wangari Maathai did not strip in Uhuru Park because it was easy, right? Nobody said it would be easy. There is a price to pay to end the culture of sexual harassment. And I'm willing to pay that price. And I'm willing to pick up that fight. And I'm willing and I'm ready. And if they thought that is what is going to silence me, that will not silence me, because I know there are staff members in parliament who are raped in that parliament. Staff members who work there. Any sexual engagement that is non-consensual, that someone has not put their consent, that they have been backed to a corner, like we have seen our politicians on the platforms being told turn around, and they feel the pressure because you know who is this person and everything. That is rape. And I'm telling you, it is happening in parliament. And I'm not going to be quiet. I will speak about it. I mean, what else can they take away? Where I'm standing, I have served a suspension for 6 months. Where I'm standing, I have not been paid my salary forever, you know? Where I'm standing, I don't know how many court cases because of speaking up. Where I'm standing, my own political party does not like the guts that I can stand up and say this is wrong. What else will you take away from me? I know that you're sending me all sorts of signals, telling people to come and tell me that they will finish me. I know that there's a threat to my life. But I also know that there are so many women who are counting on me to keep my head up and to keep speaking the truth in times where many people will be harassed, intimidated, jailed, and even their lives taken away. Innocent Kenyans being shot because they dared to go to the street to even demonstrate. I know that. So I want to say this to Jeremiah Nyegenye. This is a battle that I will take to the end. Because what happened in parliament, to me, is just but the surface. The women in parliament are suffering. Take it from me. They are having to do things that they would otherwise not even speak up in public. And so therefore, it is just time to end that culture. I believe there's space for us to politic without all this sex for work nonsense. And if we can go out and fight for the women in the tea farms, in the industries, wherever, we have to start from the spaces that we are in. It is wrong. I will never conform to it. And so I remain strong. My legal team, thank you, my legal team, for the work that they are doing. We continue to fight the good fight. And as you can see, do I look defeated? I don't think I don't look defeated. So if they thought this would bring me down, again, I say it, as I've said it before, bring it on. The only thing that will end me here is that they will kill me. And that is a fight that we know we are ready. So in the event that I die, I want you to know that these are the battles that I am picking up and I am fighting, because I believe God put me there for a reason. So that is the long and short of it. Mm-hmm. Any questions?
I have one question. From your experience as a member of parliament, do you think these issues that only happen to those who are elected, or maybe they also happen to the staff?
The issue of sexual harassment in parliament is not limited to members of parliament. In fact, it is so rampant within the staff. When I mean the staff is, we have staff members who are working for us there. And if they can do this to a senator, can you imagine an administrator trying to say that my boss tried to, put sexual advances and said if I want to travel, maybe I have to do ABCD? They cannot. It is a culture of silencing anyone who imagines that they can call it out. So it's rampant, it's there. I urge you to speak to the likes of Martha Karua and veteran politicians who have been in that house. They will tell you. It's not. I am not speaking from nowhere. It is there, and it has to be addressed. We don't have. I even asked the leadership to put a sexual harassment policy and safeguarding measure. For instance, I am reporting someone, but I'm reporting him to himself. How is he going to take action against himself? They don't even have a policy. There's no sexual harassment reporting, mechanism. There's no safeguarding of victims. So any member of parliament right now who is looking at me will not even dare say that I think I was given a road deal because of ABCD. They will shut their mouth, and that's not where we want to go as a country. Yeah.
Madam Orwoba, perhaps a question on this one.
Yes.
Are you doing this alone? Are you think one man guitar? Are there any senators who are actually supporting you on this?
I have not only senators but members of the National Assembly who are supporting me. They are afraid because they have seen what is happening to me. Not everybody has the luxury to be able to say, if that's the assignment, I walk away. People have responsibility financially with families. So I understand their position. They're supporting me in the background. And I understand why they will be fearful. So yes, there are. And I also want to inform you that there are cabinet secretaries who are supporting me because they have been in these spaces and they know exactly what I'm talking about. But you will not see them because they are afraid. They're afraid of the repercussions, which I totally understand.
To connect to that repercussion you're talking about, is it connected towards your party?
Yes, absolutely. Immediately the judgment came out. If you go online and look at the people pushing the narrative of where will she get 10 million to pay, it is the UDA party machinery. It is all political. And not only is it political, it's unfortunate that they would rather sacrifice the hundreds of women who are in parliament or in the spaces of leadership just so they can teach Senator Orwoba a lesson. Because they don't like people who speak out. But I am speaking out, and that's just who I am.
If I may ask, are you ready to resign or you are not ready to resign?
No, it's okay. That's a good question, yeah? This is what I feel. Every time you ask a person who is a victim of a circumstance that if they don't want to play ball, they should resign, what are you pushing? What notion are you pushing? Should I resign so that Nyegenya can continue harassing people in parliament? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to make it easy for criminals, rapists, murderers to continue doing whatever it is they're doing. In fact, God will be very ashamed of me if I resigned so that they can now continue doing what they're doing. I don't think that is why we were put there. There is a purpose, and I believe the purpose is you are there to speak and ensure that those who have been having it easy, committing these atrocities, will actually, it's a stopgap measure. There's someone to say, no, we cannot continue with this. Otherwise, if I was to resign even before they suspended me and removed me, we would not be having this press conference.
Yeah, last question. Recently they saw with Matiang'i, and at that time also they saw with Matiang'i. That's where the lineage of these circumstances started.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. It's part of it, but not really. Because I've also spoken up against the fake jobs that Alfred Mutua is dishing out here. Yeah? And you saw how they came at me, right? I don't want to be the person that says my security was taken away, but you should know my security was taken away when I was suspended, not even these other things. But I always say, like, I mean, we have been in this country without security. Who was Gloria Orwoba before they had 3 bodyguards? I was just here in town, walking around and doing my business. The only security we have is God. God is our security. And as I've said, I am willing, I am capable, and I am ready to fight the good fight. And the good fight for me now is I'm going to speak up against the things that have happened to me, that I know are happening to other people. And that's just the position that I am in right now.
So far, have you received any threatening?
Yes, many. I've received many threats. Many threats. Every day I receive a threat. Every day I receive a threat to my life. My family has been threatened. Everybody around me has been, my staff members have been threatened. So we understand where we are in, but I also know that I cannot give in. Because if I give in, what are you people going to do? If I give in, what are the people in Kericho who are literally being raped in order to be given jobs? What are they going to do? So I can't give up. I can't give up and I can't give in. So this is it.
Senator Orwoba, Jambo,
Salama.
do you have any evidence for sexual harassment? Maybe.
That's a good question, because they said I didn't substantiate. If you look at my report, I said, oh, this and this happened, and now because I refuse to play ball here, suddenly my trips are being cancelled. Suddenly my office is this and that. Suddenly there's this fight and that fight. And then I said, in fact, if you think I'm lying, why doesn't the clerk of the Senate or the Speaker just give to the public, give to Kenyans, the travel report? Because the first evidence is the travel report. If today Kenyans are told that these many billions of Kenya shillings have been spent by senators, don't you want to know who has been traveling, where they have been going, who they have been going with, how much they have been spending? That data is not rocket science. That is data that if it is put on the table here, we can say, hey, Senator Orwoba, how come all the time you're always traveling with so and so? And are you an expert in agriculture, security, sexual rights and reproductive health? Are you an expert in everything such that any trip that comes, you're the only person who can represent the Senate? You know? That is the first evidence. But who is the custodian of the evidence? It is the clerk of the Senate. He has refused in writing to give to the public and even to the Powers and Privilege Committee and even to the court the travel report, which will then also show you how much he spends, taxpayers' money. Because, you know, when you say sex for work, you have to understand it is a negotiation. The person in power has to have something to give. The thing that they are giving, which you don't see, is approvals of travel. The thing that they are giving, which you don't see, is your office can move from this corner to that corner. Which you don't see is we have an ad hoc committee. He sits in the Senate Business Committee, which also puts your work in the order paper. There's a lot of negotiations for you to get ahead with your legislative agenda. One of the things that I want to be put to the public for Kenyans to see is the travel report. It's a document that is just sitting there in finance. In fact, you should be able to see that Senator Gloria Orwoba, since she lifted the Bible, 2.5 years, this is how much she has spent on local travel, and this is how much she has spent on international travel. He himself, forget the people who are now being given the exchange, he himself should be able to tell you, this is how much I have spent on travel. Why is that a secret? Yet it is taxpayers' money. Because in that travel report, you can then be able to analyze the data and ask yourself, is Karen Nyamu an expert in everything?
Now,
and ask yourself, is this other nominated senator so special that she's an expert in everything? And ask yourself, did even Senator Orwoba need to go for that trip? She knows nothing about ABCD. This is the accountability. And in that report is my evidence of, ever since I refused to play ball, you can even see from the travel, that legitimately the things that I have been called upon to speak and represent this country, they were not supported. Yeah, and now, so how do I produce evidence that where the clerk is the custodian of the evidence?
Now, in that assumption,
Are the other senators playing ball?
I cannot speak for the other senators, but I can speak for myself. And for myself, I'm not playing ball. And I'm asking you, go and audit. Ever since I said, no, I don't want to participate in this, go and audit how many of my things, legislative or otherwise, have actually been tanked.
Juzi tumesikia mwingine akiambiwa akipituka kwa ile tulikuwa tunasambaza hiyo video. Comment on that.
Isi hiyo ndio nimesema, ikifika mahali ambapo mpaka mwanasiasa kama yule Sabina Chege is not a first timer. Ikifika mahali kama ye anapata hiyo pressure mpaka anaambiwa mbele ya watu pinduka na anajipata amepundika, unafaa ujiulize haswa ni nini hiyo inawafanya wanaogopa mpaka wanafanya vile vitu wanafanya. Kwa sababu Sabina Chege si mtu ambaye ameanza siasa jana. Sabina Chege hata kuna alikuwa mpaka sijui deputy party leader ama ni party leader wa Jubilee. Huyo ni mwanasiasa ambaye unasemaje kwa Kiswahili, veteran politician. Lakini inafika mahali mtu fulani anamwambia hebu penduka tuone pale nyuma vile ambavyo na anapenduka. Anaweza kuambiwa kitu ya kwanza kabla nikupe hiyo ofisi, hebu kwanza wewe ni mrembo fanya hivi. Unanielewa? Hiyo anakubali. Ya pili anakubali. Ya tatu, by the time amefika pale mbele ya watu anaambiwa penduka, vitu vingi vimefanyika huko nyuma. Unanielewa? Yeah, and that is what I'm saying, that culture, somebody has to say no. It has to end.
Now, Madam Senator, a quick one. How should we now take relation to this?
I gave 2 apologies. As I told you, the first apology, when the majority leader came to me and told me, we need this thing to come out from the public. There are some of your colleagues who felt when you are looking for justice, you didn't treat them well. My colleagues, meaning my senators, fellow senators. I said, I have no problem apologizing. There are some who actually I abused in a WhatsApp group because I was so mad. Why are you people not seeing what's happening? So in that moment, there are some who I abused. I apologized to them. I said, I'm sorry. In my quest of seeking justice, I might have offended you, and I'm sorry. I can apologize any day for that. My second apology was a prescribed apology by the clerk of the Senate. He will come and deny it and say it is a committee that wrote it, but he supervises that committee. The secretariat reports to him. If I was suspended by the Senate as a house and the senators as my members, where does the clerk of the Senate and his name come into a prescribed apology? It was his generation. And when I refused to apologize, what happened is, thanks to Gen Z, thank you Gen Z, they saw the wrong in it, they made a lot of noise, and there was so much pressure to end it. So I said I must put a disclaimer. So if you listen to my apology, I start by saying, these are not my words. I did not write this. I'm only reading this because it is a procedure in Parliament, and therefore I go ahead to read it. But what Jeremiah Nyegenye does through his people that he pays, they remove the disclaimer, then they share the apology. That's what he did in court. He also took the apology and said in court, in fact, she apologized because she was lying. I have never lied, and I will never lie about a serious matter such as sexual harassment. It would be such a shame for anybody to lie about such a thing, because that is not something you can take back. By the time I spoke about it, I had serious deliberations, understanding that the moment I speak, the repercussions around it for both parties are very dire. I'm very aware. That is not something I can lie about. And I have not been caught on record anywhere lying. That's not my character. I know my character is passionate, abrasive. There are things I will accept, but I never lie about certain things. Actually, about everything, but in specific, sexual harassment is not a thing. I mean, I have kids. I have a son. I do not imagine there's a time someone would wake up and lie about my son in a certain situation. So let them just investigate it at the bare minimum, and at least accord other people in Parliament who are going through this a chance to feel that something is happening and there is an investigation, there's a policy, there's a safeguarding measure, at least so that even the women who are now very scared of speaking, they might not speak up, but they might get that relief that in the next 2 years or so, 25 months, the people who have been arraigned for terrorist activities because of political persecution, yeah, So, I mean, let's also be honest, in the context that we are living in, I am not going to subject my family. Myself, I don't have an issue, but my family father to persecution. Yeah. Thank you.